Okay, let's take a look at problem number 1, solving rational equations. What are the solutions of the rational equation? So I have x over x minus 1 plus x over x plus 3 equals 2 over x squared minus x. So I'm bringing here my whiteboard. The first thing I'm going to do, just so that I can readily see, I'm going to change this to x minus 3 and x plus 3. And if I look at it, I see that my common or my least common denominator, and we definitely talked about this in another lesson, is x minus 3 and x plus 3. So I'm going to multiply the entire equation by x minus 3 and x plus 3. When I do that for the first one, my x minus 3's cancel out, and I'm left with just x times x plus 3. When I do it for the second one, my x plus 3's cancel out and I'm left with x times x minus 3. And then when I multiply by the other side of the equal sign, my x minus 3 and my x plus 3 cancel out and I'm just left with 2. So I'm going to multiply everything out, and I get x squared plus 3x plus x squared minus 3x equals 2. Well, obviously my 3x's cancel out, and I'm left with 2x squared equals 2. Well, the next rational thing to do would be divide both sides by 2, and I get x squared equals 1. Well, I just have x is equal to plus or minus square root of 1 is 1. So those are my two solutions. Now I can go back and check my solutions to make sure I cannot easily see by looking at my denominators here and also my least common denominator. See that 1 is actually a solution of the equation. If I try to plug in 1, I won't get an unreal value. So 1 definitely works. All right. So they did. They checked it as well. They actually plugged it in to make sure that the solutions work. All right. So now let's look at part B. I have x minus 1 over x squared plus 3x plus 2 plus 2x over x plus 2 equals x minus 1 over x plus 2. So I could do the exact same thing that I did up here, but they want us to use a computer. That I do not have this type of computer. I do have a graphing calculator, and I did graph it here. And so this is the same equation. So I have 1 here, and I want to see where they're equal. And so my red line represents the first, or the left-hand side of the equation. My green line represents the right-hand side, and I want to see where they cross. Well, as you can see, first going this way, I cross, but it looks like it crosses at an asymptote. And you can see that this right here, it gets closer and closer. As you see, they kind of getting closer and closer to 1. So, excuse me, negative 1. And the same thing for this one. It's like there's another asymptote. You see the line is overlapping it now. So we can kind of conclude that there's no real solution here because the values that are coming out do not exist. We can also work it out. I think it's a great idea to work it out. So I've written it here on my whiteboard, and as you can see, I went ahead and factored out my denominator for that first term. So we go back over here, x squared plus 3x plus 2 factors out to x plus 1 times x plus 2. And then so my least common denominator for the whole thing would be x plus 1 times x plus 2. And if you don't remember how to do that, please go back and look at the previous lesson. Okay, so I will multiply everything by x plus 1 and x plus 2. For the first one, my x plus 1 and x plus 2 totally cancels out, and I'm left with just x minus 1. Plus, for the second one, my x plus 2 cancels out, and I'm left with x plus 1 times 2x. And for my other side of the equation, my x plus 1 cancels out, and I'm left with x minus 1 times x plus 2. So this is a lot to solve. This is just one option. So I have x plus 1 here, multiply, I get plus 2x squared plus 2x. Over here, when I multiply, I get x squared minus x plus 2x minus 2. So I combine my like terms, I get x squared plus 3x minus 1 equals x squared plus x minus 2. Everything needs to come on one side, so I'll do it all at the same time. Alright, and I get x squared plus 2x plus 1, and I just ran out of space, that's why I brought it over here. And so I get, when I factor this, and do it in black, I get x plus 1 times x plus 1, and that looks like what we got on the graph too. So x equals negative 1. But x can't equal negative 1, because when I plug in a negative 1 here and here, I get an invalid solution. So negative 1, when I worked it out, it works, that this is the solution. However, when I plug it back in, it's one of the values that my rational equation cannot be negative 1. So that's why, and so when we look back at our graph, we see it's getting closer and closer to the negative 1, but it can't equal negative 1. So that one has no solutions. Yep. Oh, they have negative 2. I must have done something incorrectly. But there is no solution. Did I subtract incorrectly? So I have 3x, and I have 2x squared, and I have minus 1. Over here I have x squared minus x, 2x minus 2. So I subtract x squared from both sides, and I get x squared. Subtract x from both sides, I get 2. Add 2 to both sides, I get 1. Okay, well, I didn't see where I went wrong. If you see it, let me know. Comment or send me an email. Let's go on to got it. It says, what are the solutions of the rational equation? So we have two ways we can solve. I have x minus 1 over x plus 2 equals x squared plus 2x minus 3 over x plus 2. Well, this one's easy. We know that the least common denominator is x plus 2. That's the only denominator. So when I do that, my x plus 2 cancels out, and I get x minus 1 equals, here my x plus 2 cancels out, x squared plus 2x minus 3. Everything needs to come over to the other side, so I'm going to subtract x from both sides, add 1 to both sides. Everything goes to 0 over here, and I'm left with x squared plus x minus 2. And so I factor that, and I get x plus 2 and x minus 1. So x equals negative 2 and x equals 1. However, when I look at my denominator, the values that it can't be, x cannot be negative 2. So that's not one of my solutions. So my only solution is x equals 1. Okay? Let's go to the next one. Okay, so our least common denominator is x plus 1 times x plus 4. So everything will be multiplied by those two, x plus 1 and x plus 4. When I do that, my x plus 1 cancels out. I'm left with just x times x plus 4. For the second one, my x plus 4 cancels out. I'm left with 3 times x plus 1. And for my other side of the equation, my x plus 4 cancels out. I'm left with x plus 3 times x plus 1. So I multiply, I distribute, I get x squared plus 4x plus 3x plus 3 plus x squared plus 4x plus 3. I went ahead and multiplied everything, added everything as well. So now everything needs to go to one side of the equation. Subtract x squared. Subtract 4x. Oops, I forgot to combine these. I should have combined them first. So we'll just subtract 3x in here too. Subtract 3. So 0 equals negative 3x. So x equals 0. Alright, so 0 can be a solution. It's not one of my solutions that's going to make my equation or my rational equation invalid or not true. So this is my only solution. Thank you so much for enduring with me through this very long video. I hope you enjoyed.